G'day YouTube, how you going? My name is Joe Foster and I'm here to bring you another video on content creation. I am doing a rebrand of a business at the moment. It's my own business, it's photography productions. I did a background research in the last video of mine. This one will be based on designing a logo. Now I'm not going to go through all the steps because this video would go on for so long. Now there are some things that you should know when creating a logo is you might see online that it happens sort of in front of your eyes, but the thing is the concept takes a long time. So since I've done the last video, it's probably been 5 or 6 days. I've been writing down some notes, I've been designing some logos, just to get an idea of what I want to do. So these concepts, they can take several days, they can take several weeks. The concepts do take time, and it's important to not lose focus and to stay on track and to get it down. The way you can get some inspiration is by going on Pinterest, researching. I've done a lot of research. You can have a look at my feed if you want. I've done a lot of research into what logos I like and stuff like that. I've also gone to people's businesses pages. I've gone to their web pages, seen how they use their logo, how they watermark their photos and stuff like that. There are 5 different types of logos. The first one is wordmark. Now this can be Google, Visa, I can think of some others. I'll drop them up on the screen right now. The second one is pictorial logos, which are like Apple, Twitter, Instagram even. Abstract, you've got things like Nike, Adidas, you got things like Pepsi, Target, Mitsubishi, PlayStation. The fourth logo type is mascots. So these are like KFC, your footy teams. So in Australia, like the Magpies, the Tigers or whatever, they've got a mascot that comes out, usually associated for kids to have photos with, promote their brand sort of thing. So the fifth is emblem design. Now this can be like Warner Bros. They've got a great emblem. This can be put on stickers, stuff like that. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is color in your logo. So different colors mean different things, and they can actually mean a variety of different things for certain colors. Say red, for instance, that can mean fire, it can mean love, it can mean emotion, it can mean a whole different variety of things when it's paired with different colors and different text to mean something as well. So you got blue down. Blue is used in so many different things. It's so sophisticated, it's classy, it resembles stability and confidence. Blue is seen in Facebook, Twitter, WordPress uses it, Pepsi's got it. Pepsi's paired with red and white as well, but it's got blue as a major color. Another thing to keep in mind when creating a logo is to avoid trendy looks. So if it's kind of trending now and then you don't know for certain that it's going to be still a trend in 5 years to come, we're going to avoid doing that. So I've done with my last logo, which was the photography productions one. You can see it over here. It was kind of a trend at the time to have that big scripted text sort of thing, and it's kind of going out. It's really boring. It doesn't look that great. So I'm going to try to avoid using trendy text like that or trendy logo and icons. You want to have something that has been shown over time and has evolved over time, but something that can evolve. So you don't want to design a logo that can't evolve. So you have a look at Apple. They had, you can see the transition along here right now. They've got they've had so many different varieties of their logo. So I'm going to go through Illustrator. I'm going to show you some tools that I use, how I achieve different text, and what colors I'm going to be using, what rules I'm going to have for my logo. So just keep all that stuff in mind as well. Okay, so what I want to show you here is that I've gone through multiple steps of different logos. I've done a lot more. These are the ones that I've sort of kept to show you guys. Up here, generic. I've seen it done a lot of times. This one was also a bit of a copy from Pinterest. I really like this one, and I think this is the direction we ended up going down. I tried to include my established 2016 to show that I have a few years experience with photography, different variations of that. I also tried to do different versions of the P, which I didn't mind, but I didn't think it looked as clean. It was looked a bit trendy, but I didn't think it looked sophisticated enough to show that I was doing professional photography. I also looked at incorporating a camera, and I tried so much to incorporate the camera, and it ended up just looking so cheesy, so cliche, and so done before. So we didn't end up going down that road, and I definitely went down this. Definitely thought this road looked particularly good. It's got the sans serif font down for photography productions. It's got a serif font for PP and the 2016. I think instead of having the dots there, it definitely looked better with the 20 and the 16. And then I also created some rules for my logo. So what these rules are is, so if it's got a white background, I want to have a dark font, but I don't want to be using black and white if I can avoid it. So I went for a blue, as we were talking about before. It shows confidence, it shows reliability, and I've also gone with a darker or lighter version of the background color. So the background color in this instance is white, so I've gone for a darker white, which will end up being a grey. So with this one, it's obviously a black background. Now, if you haven't gone for white in the middle, if you go right in, you'll actually see that it's a slight blue. Same with this one, but just a different level of luminosity. And then with the photography productions, I have gone for a lighter version of black, which ends up being a dark grey. Now over here, same goes with the blue and the red. I've gone for a lighter version of the red, which is a pinky color. And then I've gone for the opposite color of red, which is green. And I still think I can change that maybe even to a bluer green. Then with the blue version, I have gone for the opposite color of blue, which is a yellow or an orange for the PP and the 2016. And then I've gone for a lighter version of photography productions. Now, the thing with the photography productions is you can also go for a darker version. Really depends on what your audience will like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how I made this logo. Now, this is going to be my standard one. This is the one that I'll probably use for my website, for shirts and all that sort of stuff. This will be the one that I'll use for Facebook. So this is my standard logo. So I'm going to go through and show you how I did that with Illustrator. Now, if you don't have Illustrator and you're planning on doing design, I highly recommend that you do get Illustrator. There are free softwares out there, but Illustrator is a universal program that a lot of people use for vectors and exports in PNG, PDF, all different sorts of formats. The great thing about it is if you export it as a PDF, you can size it right up and right down without it distorting. And that is what a vector file does. So we use Illustrator because it is pretty complex and it's got lots of things in it. Now, we're not going to use all the features that are in Illustrator. There are plenty of shape builders and stuff like that that people use. This is a simple logo. The reason I use a simple logo for my photography is because I want my photos to do most of the talking. Okay, so what I started with was I did a circle. Now, to get a perfectly proportioned circle from the center, you hold the Alt or Option key and the Shift key, and you pull it out. So this way it goes from where you clicked your mouse, and it's perfectly proportioned. Now, it doesn't really matter what fill color you have or what stroke color you have, but I recommend just having nothing to begin with because you don't want anything in it, because this is where we're putting our text. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the text tool and go down 2 spots to type on a path, and we're going to click there. Okay, and now all I'm going to do is write photography. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to make that really big. Now, the important thing to remember here is choosing a font that you think is appropriate. Now, I can probably go for a different font, and I might go look for a font later on, and we can play around with that. I haven't really played around with my fonts in this logo. I've kind of gone very simple and basic. What font have I got there? Avenir Next. So I'm just going to copy that. Now we're going to rotate it until it's level on both sides. Now, the way you can check to make sure it's level on both sides is using a ruler tool. Now, I know there's got to be another way of doing this to make sure it's level on both sides. I haven't figured it out yet, so if you know, leave a comment, please. So I'm going to get the ruler and come down here. Pretty sure I've got smart guides on. snap to point, that's what I was after, and smart guide. So I've got them on, so I don't know why it's still not doing it for me. And then what you can do is you can rotate it until it looks like it's even on both sides. And I reckon that's pretty darn close. You're not going to notice it too much with the naked eye. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that by clicking delete. Now, what I can do with this to get productions to be on the same circle is I hold Command or Control C, Command V, bring that so that way it's in the same spot, and rotate it around. Now you'll know if I write productions, it's backwards and it's upside down, which is quite frustrating, but there is a way to solve this. So if you go up to type, which you won't be able to see on the screen, sorry, but you go up to type, and then you get a drop down box and it will say type on path. You want to go to type on path options. Now I'm going to preview it so that way I can see exactly what I'm doing, and you're going to flip it. Okay, so now when we bring it around, it'll be the right way up, as you can see there. Now what I like to do is I like to have the text below the circle. So right now it's in the circle. I want to have it outside of the circle. So I go ascender, and the spacing is auto. You can fiddle around with that as much as you like. Okay, so now I'm going to click out of it. V, boom. Now we're going to rotate it around, and we can do the same thing. Okay, so now as you can see, we've got the photography productions there. It's around a circle. It looks good. I'm not going to fiddle around with color yet, but I will go into that later. I'm going to draw text. Oops. Might even draw it outside the circle. P. So we're going to get our square tool to create that box that I've got here. And I'm just going to create a rectangle. I'm not going to hold the shift because then I'll get a square, because it'll be perfectly proportioned. And then we're going to just draw a box. Now what we can do is we can make it the length of the P from edge to edge by using some rulers. I'm pretty sure Smart Guides usually does a pretty good job of connecting it into place anyway. Okay. I'll get rid of these guides now that I've got it there. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to round off the edges a little bit, because at the moment with everything being kind of round, it's very square, very sharp, where everything else is round. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to round these off just a little bit. And how much you round it off will all depend on you. Okay. Now I also think that's pretty big, pretty bold. I don't want it to stand out. I kind of want it to be simple. Okay, now what I'm also going to do, now to get this backwards P over here, what I did is I got this one, clicked on it, held Option or Alt on a PC, and brought it down to there. Right clicked on it, transform, reflect. Now to see exactly what you're doing, you go to preview, and it might be set on this, so just go down to vertical. You can rotate it however you like. I don't want to do that though. Go back to 90. Okay, so that's how I got my backwards P that's there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm pretty happy with what I've got here, so I'm going to group them together. I can always ungroup them, but this is for the purpose of getting the P and the dash and the other P in the center of this circle. So I go to group. Okay, so now what you'll notice is when I group these together, the whole lot are selected. So I can't just move this one P and move the whole lot. Now it's in a group. By right clicking it and going to ungroup, you can ungroup them and then you can move them separately. So now these are all together. All I'm going to try to do is find the center of the circle. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that these are the same distance apart, but the way we can figure it out is we can go over to this eyedropper tool here, right click and go measure tool, and we start from here and go up to the P, holding the shift, so that way it only does like 45, 90 degree angles. So it's a little bit of fiddling around, and I'm sure there's some smart guides that'll make it a lot easier for you, but if you want to make sure, that's the measuring tool anyway, and it does help to make sure it's perfectly proportioned. And I'm pretty sure this would be more proportioned than this one over here, to be honest with you. Now, if you want to make this bigger, you can do so by grouping it together. Now, like I said before, hold the Alt or Option and the Shift key together to make it bigger. All right, so now that we've got pretty much our logo there, we're going to create the 2016. Now, with this, I have played around with where the 20 and the 16 is positioned. It's up to you what your call could be. You can position the middle of the 20 right on this circle, but I didn't. The reason I didn't is I sort of wanted it to be in line with the photography reductions. So I'll show you what I mean. So I don't want it to stand out too much. I just want it there, so that way it's eventually seen, but it doesn't need to be. It's just an added feature. So what I can do here, if I hold the Shift key, I struggle to move it up and down a little bit. It's mostly locked to this guide here by holding that Shift key. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ruler right on the edge of the circle here, and that's where I want the end of my 20 to be at. So if I make this as small as I can, and it should just snap to it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same, but by holding the Option key, I can drag it along and move it over here, and holding the Shift will keep it in line. See how it's above the 20, and now it's in line. That looks pretty good to me. You can bring it in, you can fiddle around with it and whatnot. So I've pretty much recreated this. Now what I'm worried about is it looks like, even though we've perfectly centered it, it still looks like the top of this P is close to the G and the bottom of this P is to the down here. So that might take some fiddling around. Obviously, I'm not the best graphic designer. I've only just started designing things, but this is my process of how I'm going to be doing things. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another artboard, and I'm going to get the whole lot of this, and by holding the Alt or Option key, bring it over. Okay, and I'm going to make it all a bit smaller, just so I can fit some swatches in here. Now this is how I decided my color, and I'll go through that now. Okay, so for my color scheme, I have 3 colors. I want to limit myself to either 2 or 3. I don't want too many colors unless you're going for like a toy company, unless you have a really good reason for going for more than 2 colors, or even 3 colors. I would definitely try to keep within that range, because then it gets a bit confusing, can look a bit funny, and stuff like that. Now, the reason I've gone for 3 colors is for hierarchy and background color. So the background color is white in this instance. It can be any other color. I want the PP in the 2016 to be seen before they see photography reductions, because I would like it to be that PP in the 2016 can stand by itself. So this will be the initial look for my brand, and on smaller, so maybe on my Instagram I might not have photography productions around it, because people are going to know it's photography productions by the title of the Facebook page an Instagram page. So the logo could be just PP in 2016 to stand alone, because it's on a much smaller screen. On larger things, I'll definitely have the photography reductions around it. So that's why I have decided to use 3 colors. We could get away with just black and white, or blue and whatever other color, yellow, and stuff like that. But for this, I have decided to do 3. Okay, so you've decided to do 3 colors. So let's draw 3 boxes. Okay, so this one's going to be my white. That's going to be my background color. This one is going to be my blue. Now, it's going to be my primary blue, which I've got over here, and I'm going to show you how I got that color. So by clicking on this, Now I can go, you got red, green and blue. Okay, so I want blue. Now whereabouts I want that blue is completely up to me. I'm going to just fiddle around with where I think I'm going to want it. So I'm going to make it a bit darker. I don't think it needs to be as saturated. Okay, the other thing is I want the photography reductions to be a darker or lighter version of the background color. So they're my rules. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to find a, so if I go to saturation, make it 0 saturation, and black and white, we now play around with the luminosity here. So that's my background color. If I want it to be darker, I pull the blacks down and find a darker color. I don't want it to be too dark because I don't want it to stand out. I want it to be there but not too noticeable. Okay, so there now my swatches. So by going into here, it's now selected, because I've grouped them, it's selected all of them, and pressing I goes to the eyedrop tool, and there's our color by clicking on that swatch. What I've noticed is it's a bit purple for my liking, so what I might do is I might go into here, go to my reds and bring it down a little bit, go to my blacks, make it a bit darker. So I want it to be a bit more grey as well, so I might have to bring that up a little bit. It's all a bit about playing around a little bit. There we go, that might be good. So now if I click on this and click, so by going on the eyedropper, you'll now see that it's a bit more bluey and grey here. That looks a bit better, I reckon. Now holding the eye and eye, boom. Okay, so there's my logo. So it's very similar to this one that I created, because obviously I was trying to make it similar. This one's probably more proportionally correct because I've taken the time to go in through it. So if I get my rulers down, you can see that they're pretty much perfect. These guys are in line, pretty much in line with that. I could fiddle around and make the 2016 the same size as that, but I'm not going to worry about that. The P and the S are very close to being on the dot, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now you can spend hours making it perfect and it'll be great. I just haven't worried about doing that in this instance. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to put this on a different artboard. Okay, so this is the final design that I've come up with. I'm pretty happy with it. It's simple, it's easy to read, and I think it'll look great on photos as a watermark. So this is what I'll be using throughout my brand. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching this to the very end. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to this video, and that will help a lot. Thank you.